Hey y'all, welcome to Adventures with Aggie, brought to you by the Ryan Martin Foundation. Today we're featuring USA Sled Hockey player Kyle Zeich, who's on the road to Beijing 2022. Please welcome Kyle. Kyle, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for coming on. I'm excited. I feel like I've had you on my list of people to interview for months now, so I'm excited that it's happening. But first, just to kind of start out, could you give us some background into who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So first off, I'm on the U.S. men's sled hockey team. So that's kind of what I do and who I am. 25 years old. I was born in Springfield, Massachusetts. Grew up in South Hadley. Um, have one sister. Um, that's pretty much my life. Started playing hockey through Shriners Hospital for kids, and it's been a long journey since then.
Yes, very long. You've done lots of things since then, but kind of backtracking, how did you first find hockey, or how did you know that this was going to be your sport?
Um, well, so I didn't. I found it through Shriners Hospital and through a family friend. His her son had CP, so I heard about it for probably 3 or 4 years before I actually tried it. Played able-bodied baseball growing up from t-ball until 8th grade. Couldn't do the running anymore, so then I decided it was time to try sled hockey and fell in love with it instantly.
So, at what point did you realize, hey, I'm kind of good at this, I can go high performance with it?
So I didn't actually know that there was any level above recreational one practice a week sled hockey until probably a year and a half, 2 years in, when I moved up to the local adult team and we started playing against like unreal competition, in my opinion, at the time. Um, saw guys like Taylor Chase, um, and that's kind of when I knew that there was growth and room to improve and levels to the sport. And as soon as I found that out, I just wanted to do it full time.
I don't blame you. It sounds pretty fun. If I had the opportunity to do it, I would too. But I want to ask you specifically about the Paralympics. When did
Mhm.
you discover or first hear about the Paralympics? And I guess what were your thoughts?
Oh, um, I had watched a tape of 2010 Paralympics. I think that was Vancouver. I watched that in probably 2013 for the first time. Um, and I had actually changed teams to Northeast Passage where Taylor Chase was playing. I mentioned him already. He had been to 2010 and he was going to 2014, which was Sochi. Um, so I'd watch reruns of 2010, and then 2014 was the first Paralympics I'd watched live, and I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. I didn't know there was other para sports. That's kind of where I learned that there's a whole community, and yeah, I wanted to be a part of it instantly.
Yeah, I'm learning all of these things kind of on the fly. As these interviews keep going, I'm learning more and more about parasport and winter parasports. That's
Yeah.
like two things that I'm super unfamiliar with, being from Alabama
Hmm.
and not really having winter sports in general. And then parasports has been like just this whole new book of worms that I've been trying to navigate through this past year. But it seems
Hmm.
like it's stuck and it's gone pretty well for you so far.
Yeah.
But I guess, can you tell me a little bit about how you've seen the Paralympic movement grow just in your years involved in adaptive sports?
Well, I didn't find out until about the Paralympics, like I said, until 2013. So I was 13, 14, or 16 years old at that point, and I grew up with a disability. So there just wasn't that much behind it. 2014, Sochi kind of they started to get a lot of media opportunities, airtime on NBC. 2018, it blew up even more. And then 2019, they kind of made Paralympians equal with some Olympians as far as medal bonuses and just all that kind of stuff. So in the short time that I've been in it, it's just been blowing up. And 2022, they said it's going to be, record airtime on NBC and all this stuff. So it's growing at a crazy rate, and it's so cool to be a part of, and in the middle and watching it, being a part of it, really.
Yeah. I'd imagine it's crazy for you to be in it. I'm watching it from the
Yeah.
outside, like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I just have on some kind of binoculars and watching it grow way off in the distance. But it's really cool. And I think Tokyo obviously did amazing things for Paralympics. And I can't wait to see what happens in Beijing. But this is my favorite question actually to ask any athlete that comes on the show. So I'm going to ask it to you now. How would you describe the road to Beijing, or like the road to a world championship, or the road to this? How would you describe that? And I guess, what have the last few months / next 2 months going to look like for you?
So before any world championship, we just kind of dial it in, and already most of the things I do throughout the day are involved with hockey, but really when you're gearing up for those big major tournaments, it's at least for me, it's on my mind 24/7 when I'm eating, sleeping, training, just all the time. And it's been unreal these past couple months, just thinking about working up to these Paralympics. Like, I've been personally training for this looking forward to it for the past 7-8 years. So to know we're 2 months away is like kind of surreal. And these next 2 months are going to be even more crazy, and we're going to have a residency program down in Nashville. So we'll be training together, all the time. That's going to be so much fun, and just really excited to see how we gel as a team going into these Paralympic Games.
Totally. What have y'all been able to do the last, I almost said few months, but I guess COVID's really been almost 2 years now. But how has training been and stuff, and how have you navigated that?
Well, it was tough at first, especially those first couple months. Everything was shut down. The thing with our team is the guys, everyone does their own training. So everyone is super motivated just to do what they can. Personally, I had a gym in my basement, just did what I could until the gyms opened back up. And then everybody found ice time when they could. And I think it was November around when we started meeting again as, under USA Hockey and as a team. And from then, we've just, all the guys are super committed to, I've been down to Nashville 3 or 4 times in the past year, Colorado, just to all train on our own. So COVID affected it for a couple months, but all the guys train on their own anyway, so not too bad.
The discipline that I struggle to have with staying in shape. Awesome. What are you most looking forward to about Beijing? How excited are you? I'm so excited. I can't wait to stay up all night and watch sports. It'll be great. But what are you most looking forward to?
Oh man. Obviously the ultimate goal is a gold medal. But really just the whole experience of the Paralympic Games. I have most of my teammates have been. I've been on the national team, but this will be my first Paralympics. So, the guys on the team say it's just an unreal experience to go over there. Team processing, even just in LA, you get all your swag and media stuff, and then all the USA athletes are going to be chartered together over there. So that'll be a cool experience. And then just showing up and getting into the village, I think, is going to be when it all sets in, like that we're here. But
Totally.
ultimately, I can't wait to just play. Like, yeah, for sure.
I guess I was looking kind of at the roster and just all the guys that are on the team. I feel like you're one of the younger players, or I guess newer ones. What's that like? Because so many of these guys have been to games before. How does that
Yeah.
help you or impact you?
Um, a lot of my good friends, I have really good friends on the team that have been to a Paralympic game. So just talking to them and hearing their experiences, and um, 2018 was a lot of fun to watch because I had really good friends in that Paralympic games, and just to see them win and just see the emotion after they won, and then when they got home, um, yeah, it just seems really fun, and I haven't really gotten nervous yet, so um, I'm sure the butterflies will start going as we get closer. So, but we've been to major tournaments together, and we're all such good friends that we're just so comfortable with each other, and whatever happens happens as a team. So
Yeah, I don't want to make you nervous. Let's change subjects now. I'm not trying to make you nervous now. We got a few months for that. So I don't want that
yeah.
to be on me. um, awesome. Shifting gears a little bit. Want to ask you about CrossFit. I know this is something super important to you. How did you start doing this? I see people that do CrossFit on Instagram or throwing heavy things outside, and I couldn't imagine doing this. So how did you
hmm
decide that this is going to be one of your things?
So um, CHD, Center for Human Development, I think it is, in the area, they do an adaptive CrossFit um, session every like they have like 2 months set off where we go every weekend and do like an adaptive CrossFit thing. And that's the first time I tried it, and I got hooked. And then I just started looking more into it, and I realized how good it was for core strength, stability, which sled hockey is all core and arms and stability. And so figured it would be good for cross training. And then I got into it, and I just got hooked. I was going every day. I was doing a CrossFit workout every day, um, which translated onto the ice. So then it was just kind of a snowball effect of um, being so involved with hockey that CrossFit was making my hockey better. So it was just kind of a no-brainer to kind of dive headfirst into it.
Absolutely. So you already answered my follow-up question, but I'm going to tell you the context of my follow-up question. So I was going to
Mhm,
ask you how CrossFit has impacted the way that you train for hockey, which you've already answered. But I was having
mhm,
this conversation with my team when we were researching you and coming up with different questions and stuff. And the way that it looks like you would train for hockey does not look like CrossFit looks. Does that make sense?
mhm.
But it's doing similar things.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'm more clarifying for myself, but
Yes.
it's just kind of the context that we were thinking about is just how this, like, I don't know, you see CrossFit games and you see people throwing giant tires and stuff. And I was like,
Mhm.
how does that help him play hockey? Was
It
kind
all
of,
comes down to core strength. And that's
yeah,
like the biggest thing. It's just the stability in your core, and shoulder stability, and grip strength. All that directly correlates to hockey. So it was, yeah.
makes sense. It makes sense now that we're talking about it. But when I was thinking about it before, I was like, I don't get it. I know any kind of activity is
Mhm.
helpful, but those two specifically, I was like, they look so different.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, last section of questions for you. These are kind of the questions that I ask or tailor to every guest that comes on the show. But first one, what have you learned about yourself through playing hockey?
Ooh. Learned about myself. Um, that's a tough one.
You can
I
think
don't
about
like
it. I know it's a
I
hard
don't
question.
like to talk about myself that much.
That's why
Um,
we're here.
Probably just oof, how active I like to be, and the team aspect of what I'm doing with hockey. Like that's honestly the best part. Like, yeah, playing hockey is fun, and like that sport itself, and winning. winning these tournaments is fun, but just being a part of a team and like the community, the sled hockey community is so small, and to be a part of it is unreal. And to be on the national team is really cool with like the younger side of sled hockey. Like they really look up to us. So I would just say those two things is being a positive role model to younger kids with disabilities and the team aspect. I talk about it all the time, but like those are 16 of my best friends and we just love to be around each other and play hockey together.
Absolutely. I've seen from doing all of these interviews with athletes involved in Paralympics or adaptive sport, this like community is super small. And then from learning about you and the other winter sport interviews that I'm going to do, it gets even smaller. And I think that's really cool because it is kind of like this little hockey family that does really cool things together, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Next question for all of the young people that listen. We have lots of young adaptive athletes that listen to the show. So hopefully they're going to be cheering for you in a few months. But what tips would you give to young people who are considering playing hockey?
I'd say just get into it. Whether it's hockey or any adaptive sport that you want to get into, just be a part of that community. I was super not against it, but I didn't necessarily love being a part of the disabled community when I was a kid. Definitely denied it a lot. And then as soon as you embrace it, it's just, you're not going to change it. So embrace it because you can just find so many cool people and friends. And yeah, I just do it. Just get into it, whether it's hockey, basketball, rugby, adaptive CrossFit's on the rise. Just anything, getting active, being in shape. It's good for your physical health, mental health. Yeah, that'd be my biggest tip.
Yeah, I love it. I love the tips questions because I hope somebody listens and it's like, oh yeah, that's my thing. I'm going to go do it now. But
that'd be great.
Yes, for sure. Cool. 2 more questions for you. You can take this question as the mentorship question, but who has helped you? Probably multiple people, your circle of people. Who has helped you get to where you are today?
Oh, I don't want to leave like anyone out and make anybody feel bad, but definitely my dad, my biggest. I have a lot of big supporters, but my dad, as far as driving me to practice every weekend. When I switched teams to Northeast Passage, weekend practice was 2.5 hours one way and 2.5 hours back. We did that every weekend for 2 years until I could drive myself. So it was never a question of if we were going to do it. And he's brought me to airports. I can't even name how many times he's been responsible to getting me to hockey and funding hockey and all of that. And then just all my coaches that I've had throughout the years. Taylor Chase was a big role model when I first started playing. NEP has done, Northeast Passage has done a lot for me as far as just promoting our sport. And yeah, but I definitely say my dad is, yeah.
It's a great circle. Too many people to name. I know this question is a lot harder than it sounds. When I'm typing, I'm like, oh yeah, not too bad. The mentorship question, like who has helped you get to where you are? That I'm like, there's so many people involved in everyone's lives. It's actually a hard question.
It's a community to get.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't do it with the whole community, without that whole community behind me, because there's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
From everybody, not even just me.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. For sure. I love it. I love having a strong circle. Great. Last question. Some people hate this question. Some people love this question, but I ask it every show anyway. What is one piece of advice you would give to younger Kyle?
I kind of touched on it already. And it's just like, don't be ashamed of who you are, or what you have, or what you go through, or just anything like that. Just embrace it. And it's just the community itself is just such a strong piece to have, and not getting into that early has been my biggest regret. Probably one of my only regrets is just not embracing that. It's, I mean, we're not defined by our disabilities, but that's who I am. And just get into a sport, get into an activity, get into just any sort of community, team, sport, even if it's an individual sport, just get into it. So that would be my biggest advice to my younger self, is just don't be ashamed. And I wish I started sled hockey so much sooner.
Absolutely. No, wait, are you still there? Great. Awesome. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Kyle, thank you so much for sharing your story, and we're sending you the best of luck as you head off to Beijing. Join us next week for another episode featuring sled hockey, Team Canada player Billy Bridges.